Have you ever wondered if you're living up to your full potential? What if your greatest strengths are still hidden inside of you waiting to be discovered? Are you ready to uncover your superpowers that you never realized you actually had? If so, you're going to want to stick around. My name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and chief giver over at the GIVER Method. And today we're diving into the more unconventional ways to uncover your hidden superpowers. We have lots of videos that we talk about uncovering superpowers, but we're trying to maybe come up with some more, some less conventional ways that people might be doing that. Now, these aren't your typical self-help techniques. We're going to explore some unique approaches that will help you really tap into those gifts in ways that you never imagined. Now, before we dive into that, of course, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, like the video, comment your thoughts along the way. Of course, at any time, feel free to share this with someone who might need it. You can find us at TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all those places, or at thegivermethod.com. Now, the GIVER Method, just so that you're aware, GIVER is an acronym where we help people to identify their gifts and superpowers so they can identify in their sphere of influence who they have the greatest impact on and be intentional with that impact. The V is for value and creating this vivid value without asking for anything in return. The E is for each engagement that you may have, the interactions and discussions that happen day to day and making them as effective and eager as possible. And the outcomes are, number one, you discover your gifts and superpowers. Number two, you step into who it is you're meant to be so you can make a greater impact. We also see the R in GIVER, which is relationship riches, that you see deeper, more meaningful connections with those around you as you develop and utilize your gifts and superpowers in this way. And of course, what I found is that when people identify what those gifts and superpowers are that are just in them hiding, and they start to give them in that sort of a way, that the universe has a way of paying them back. Now, it may not be every single time, but I've seen it time and time again where people who dedicate their time to this sort of a thing and give in that way, they see this return from the universe. So I encourage you to do the same. And so I'm going to cover this. I've got 10 different techniques, and they're, like I said, they're a little bit more unconventional on how you uncover these hidden superpowers. As I cover each technique, I'm going to cover some details. I might tell a little story, but I'm going to give you an action item for each and every one of them. In some cases, maybe 2 action items. So I recommend that you get out a piece of paper or open up a note so that you can jot down your thoughts of those action items, because the change in you finding your gifts and superpowers isn't going to happen because you watched this video or any of the other videos that we offer. It's because you actually took the time to take action and put to practice what we're talking about. Some of these things you can do today, this week, this month, and you'll start to see immediate results today, this week, this month, next month, and so on and so forth as you develop those gifts and superpowers. So I highly recommend grab that piece of paper, open up a note. If you need to pause the video for a second, you can go ahead and do that so you can grab those things. I'll give you that second to pause. Ready, set, pause. And you're back. Okay, cool. Thank you. So let's dive into these things. Let's dive into these techniques that I've kind of listed out so that we can identify these less conventional ways. So the first technique, the first one that you can do, focuses on really tapping into the purest version of yourself, which comes from your childhood. When you were young, like when any of us were young, we naturally we gravitated towards specific activities that brought us joy and excitement and fulfillment. Well, these passions, they often reflect in what our innate talents are, and they're untainted by the social pressures or expectations or becoming an adult. Like as adults, we sometimes suppress these interests in favor of practical paths. But revisiting them can unlock hidden strengths that we may have forgotten. By making a timeline of what your childhood hobbies and interests were, you can begin to start to reconnect with those natural inclinations that you have. So whether that's drawing or playing a musical instrument or storytelling or solving puzzles, those early passions that you had are often things that reveal the aspects of who you are. And so as you spend time rediscovering what these activities were, you're going to notice which ones still light you up or come naturally to you. And you might be surprised to find the strengths that you had as a child are still within you waiting to be used. Now, quick example is I remember as a kid, I always liked to tell stories. I like to tell really deep, detailed stories. And I like to, create these storylines or these plays or these, scenes that just had so much detail behind them and just elaborate in every way. And I recognizing that with this passion of coming up with lots of details, it's actually helped me realize that as an adult, I like to simplify the complex ideas and make them easier. And I think it's rooted in that early love of the narrative of coming up with these deeper details to create the universe that I was trying to create. And so an action item here would be to go create a timeline of your childhood interests and spend a week engaging in each activity, noting which ones spark joy for you still or come naturally to you, and those are going to start to point towards these gifts and superpowers that maybe have been hidden inside of you for a while. Our second technique is going to be what I call a reverse bucket list. Now, what this is, it flips the traditional concept of future goals on its head by focusing on what have you already achieved. Like, instead of looking ahead at things you want to accomplish, let's look back and reflect on what you've done so far. Too many people don't take the time to do this, and this practice helps you to highlight the patterns of success that you've had, and it reveals strengths that you may not be fully recognizing. So as you list out these significant moments and accomplishments, no matter how small, you really do begin to see these recurring themes. Maybe you're constantly excelling at solving problems under pressure, or bringing people together, or teaching others. Like, any of these accomplishments, they can provide so much insight into your unique abilities, particularly when you realize that certain strengths have surfaced again and again in your life. Looking backwards can give you so much more clarity on how to move forward. So take the time. The action item here is to write down, it's going to be a lot, write down 25 to 50 things you're proud of having done, no matter how small they may be. And look for the recurring themes or skills that contributed to these accomplishments. Once again, look at those as areas of pointing towards what these superpowers could be. The third technique is about, I don't know what else to call it, but it's like a complaint journal, and then like going through and reflecting on it. And so it may sound negative or counterintuitive keeping a complaint journal, but it really is an insightful way to uncover areas where you have high standards or strong opinions or unique skills. What we complain about most often reveals something deeper. In many cases, a desire to improve, or a frustration with inefficiency, or sensitivity to an issue that others might have overlooked. And by tracking your complaints, maybe for a week or for a month, you could identify some recurring themes. Are you often frustrated with poor communication, or slow processes, or a lack of creativity? These frustrations could point to areas where your standards are higher because you naturally excel. For instance, if you frequently complain about disorganization, perhaps you might have a gift within you for systemized thinking or organization. Your complaints, they might reveal where your unique insights and abilities can really make a difference. I've done this before, where I started to write out what the complaints were into a journal, and I noticed that I hate inefficiencies. I hate making people be putting people out. I don't like inconveniencing people, and I've realized this about myself, and sometimes it's to a fault. And this helps me to realize that I do like to streamline things. I like to simplify and systemize as much as I can, and that naturally is breaking down complex problems to be simple solutions. Like, that's a superpower of mine that I offer to others. So action item here is, let's say for the next month, journal out what your complaints are and review them. Like, identify what those recurring themes are and brainstorm how you could take those things, and how your keen eye on what needs to be improved in these areas could be a superpower. Now, our fourth technique involves getting feedback from others in a unique way. So getting outside feedback is always crucial when it comes to uncovering superpowers, because sometimes we're too close to ourselves to see things clearly. So this technique, it involves asking 10 people who know you in different contexts, work, personal life, hobbies, and to describe you in 3 words. Now, this is simple yet very effective exercise that can reveal strengths that you might have taken for granted or overlooked entirely. Like, when you gather feedback from others in these areas of your life, like, certain traits will appear again and again. Maybe they describe you as empathetic or resourceful or calm under pressure. Like, these repeat traits are likely indicators of superpowers that you have. Like, external perspective, it always helps to validate your strengths and can offer you fresh insights into qualities maybe you haven't previously considered as special. And, I have a friend who, one of their strengths is organization, but when they receive, when people would tell them, you're great at, they wouldn't say you're organized. They would use words like innovative or creative. I was at a conference recently, and I was sitting down helping someone work through identifying some of their gifts and superpowers, and they were struggling. Luckily, her father was at the event too, and so as she was trying to figure out these things, I'm like, well, it sounds like it could be this, it sounds like it could be that. And I just paused and I said, hey, and I turned to her dad and I said, how would you describe her in a few words? Or if someone came to you and said, I need blank, that you would say, oh my gosh, my daughter's the best person for that. And all he said was 5 words. And within those 5 words, we found what that superpower was. He just basically, this idea that empathy is what it ended up being, because she's able to hear beneath what people are saying. And so these sort of insights, they really do shift the focus, and help you to start to explore what those outlets could be for that gift or superpower. So the action item, pretty simple. Reach out to 10 different people from different areas of your life and ask them to describe you in 3 words, and compile the results and look for what the patterns might be. Now, the 5th technique involves tracing your origins and your skills. It's an idea of skill genealogy or skills genealogy. Your skills don't just appear out of nowhere. They're often shaped by your family history or experiences or your environment. Tracing the origins of your abilities, they can help you understand how they developed, and it may reveal deeper connection to certain talents that have been passed down through generations by cultivating, through life experiences. I see this with myself and my boys. My oldest son likes to figure things out and solve problems and things, and that's something that is very innate in me. My middle son is very creative and such, and every person is his friend, which so many traits and skills and superpowers from my wife. But I can look up and I can say, well, I know people whose family were all football players. My family, not football players. I am not the person for being a football player. But there are skills and talents and superpowers that you learn by seeing in your environment. So what I would say for this is start by interviewing older family members about what their skills are, their strengths or stories. What were they good at? How did they overcome specific challenges? Explore this history, like as back far in the lineages, maybe you can. And you might find that certain abilities like creativity or leadership or resilience run in your family. And you can also reflect on your own life experiences, both positive or challenging, and how they shaped your abilities. This sort of a reflective exercise, it often uncovers hidden connections between your own talents and the experiences that formed them. So go interview some family members about what their skills are, and maybe those who have passed on, and reflect on those life experiences and how they shaped your abilities. Our 6th technique involves reflecting on challenges you've overcome. So often struggles bring out our greatest strengths. Reflecting on your challenges you've faced in life can reveal your unique abilities you've developed in response to, adversity that comes up. So whether it's overcoming a personal crisis or navigating difficult career change, dealing with loss, these sort of moments often forge qualities like resilience or empathy or problem solving, as inner strengths. So think about the toughest times you've had throughout your life and how you got through them. What skills did you rely on? What mindset did you adopt? And by identifying these abilities that helped you in these moments, you're going to uncover superpowers that you might have honed through these experiences. These are often the strengths that remain hidden until you're pushed to the edge for them to shine. I can remember as I've had career setbacks, or as I've been, having different experiences, and I look back on it and I can see that, things like resilience or problem solving that I developed during some of those periods have become some of my greatest strengths, and really transformed my experience into more personal power. It's through setbacks that I actually realized that I was meant to do more, that I had gifts and superpowers that eventually led me down the road to discovering this idea of the GIVER method. So the action item here is list those top 5 challenges you've had in your life, and for each one of these, identify skills or qualities you developed to overcome them. The 7th technique, it's going to be about tracking energy levels through various activities in your week. One of the best ways you can discover your superpowers is by tracking your energy levels during different activities. Some tasks drain you, and others seem to energize you or excite you, or you're looking forward to. You're super eager to go get to them. Well, these energized moments are often a sign of you tapping into natural strengths or passions. The tasks that leave you feeling more alive rather than depleted often align to your true abilities. So, what you can often do is take some time throughout a week and keep a log of energy levels, rating them, the activity on 1 being draining or 5 being energizing. And you're going to notice that certain tasks, whether it's brainstorming, mentoring, organizing, communicating, like they all consistently leave you invigorated or depleted. And pay attention to these moments, especially the invigorated ones, as they're clues to what your unique gifts might be. When you align your life with these sort of activities that energize you, you're tapping into your true strengths. Like when I first did this sort of an exercise, I thought I would find tons of energy around solving complex issues. But it wasn't until I started to actually pay attention to a little bit more of that it started to change for me. And so an action item here, once again, just take the time, create an hourly energy log for a week, rating your activities, 1 being draining, 5 being energizing. Analyze high energy activities for common skills or themes. Now, the 8th technique focuses on harnessing intuition, harnessing your intuition in a unique way. So your intuition is a very powerful internal guide, and learning to listen to it can really help you to uncover superpowers you may not have realized. So keeping a journal of your intuitive hits or gut feelings, you start to notice these patterns in the areas where your instincts are particularly strong. Strong intuition in certain situations might point towards a hidden talent. And so what you want to think about is, do you frequently have intuitive insights about people, creative ideas, or decision making? Like, look for those patterns that will point to areas where your intuition aligns with a deeper talent or ability. I found trusting my own intuition has led me to make decisions that seemed unconventional, but ultimately aligned perfectly with my own strengths and my values and my purpose. So the action item is for the next month. Jot down every time that you have a strong gut feeling and review that journal and identify the areas of intuition was pretty keen to what you needed to be doing. Our 9th technique involves identifying activities that constantly put you into this flow state, where time seems to just fly by because you're just so fully engaged. Flow is a magical state where time seems to disappear and you become fully immersed in what you're doing. This state often occurs when you're engaging with activities that align with your natural talents. By really identifying when you're entering a flow, like that flow or that flow state, you can pinpoint which activities resonate with your superpowers. And throughout your day, you essentially have maybe random alarms and you're saying, am I in a flow right now? Track those flow moments. Note what happens, whether it's during a creative week or solving complex problems, helping others. These flow states highlight where strengths are in your life. And when you regularly experience flow, you're likely tapping into that hidden superpower. And I noticed that often I enter a flow state when I would be working on cosplay armor, and I can spend hours designing out, mapping out, cutting out foam, gluing and cutting and painting. Like, I can lose track of entire days just being so focused on that craft of creating things. And it helps me realize that that's a gift that I have. It's a superpower I have. I thought it was just a hobby, but as I find that I'm in a flow state, I find that this creativity superpower comes out. And also at the same time, when people wear cosplay, then they're able to help other people be more entertained and forget about their problems, which that's always a secondary benefit that I always enjoy having. So the action item here would be set alarms throughout your day, just randomly, and when they go off, note what you're doing and if you're in that flow state, and after a month, analyze the data for patterns. And then our final technique involves identifying unique combinations of skills. Like, superpowers don't always come with a single talent. Sometimes you merge with unique combinations with multiple skills. This is known as skill stacking. By blending diverse abilities, some of which may really seem unrelated, you can create unique strengths that set you apart from others. So list out your skills, like the minor ones, the big ones, whatever, doesn't have to be significant. And think of how combining 2 or more of these skills can create something special. For example, if you're a great communicator who also loves problem solving, together these talents might make you an exceptional strategist. The magic often happens when you overlap the skills, and this combination can be key to really discovering what superpower you have that's really truly unique to you. Now, I discovered that when you take things like analytical thinking and creativity and empathy, like, they allowed me to approach problem solving in a totally unique way. And this skill set, like this skill stack, became a superpower that I can set myself apart both in my personal life and my professional life. And so you can take the action item of lists like out what your skills are, even the minor ones, and look for unusual combinations that might create a very unique superpower. Now, we all will hit some sort of a challenge along the way. These happen especially when you have these sort of techniques, especially these ones that are less common. So things like overcoming self-doubt or imposter syndrome, like staying committed to the process of self-discovery, distinguishing your between your the societal expectations of you and your genuine passions, and accepting and embracing newfound superpowers. And these are challenges, but remember that they're normal. And the key is to approach the journey with patience and self-compassion as you do. Uncovering hidden superpowers, it isn't about finding something new, it's about recognizing unique gifts that you've had all along. And these techniques, which might be unconventional, are designed to help you to see yourself in new angles, revealing strengths that you might have overlooked over time. And so I always recommend start small, try the action items, start doing them daily, weekly, monthly, whatever those may look like. And each time you engage in these exercises, you're one step closer to unleashing whatever your full potential may be. And always remember that your unique gifts are what make you irreplaceable in the world, and that your unique set of gifts and superpowers is unlike anybody else's in the world. So you are the only person who can create the value that you can with your set of unique gifts and superpowers. When you apply these things using the GIVER method, especially these sort of unconventional techniques, you're not just discovering your superpowers, you're preparing to use them to make a more meaningful impact in the world. And if you want to dive deeper into that sort of idea of uncovering superpowers, making a greater impact in the world, then go to thegivermethod.com, sign up for our newsletter list. You can also go to thegivermethod.com and look up our book, which is going to be coming out in about a month, and start to get information ahead of time of when the book will be released. We also have things like we will speak on stages, be a podcast guest, our services, all sorts of things. You can find that all at thegivermethod.com. Go ahead and take a look at it. Once again, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those places. We like people to sign up wherever they can so they can receive exclusive insights and tips on developing whatever their unique gifts may be. And hey, if you like this video, like it, leave your comments in the comment section. Of course, share it with someone who may need it, who might be on their own journey of self-discovery. And let's really spread this power of unleashing everyone's hidden potential. And so until next time, keep giving, keep growing, and remember, your superpowers are really waiting to be discovered. So let's believe in yourself. I believe in you. Let's go find them and use them wisely. Have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you in the next video.